Hi, this is Dan Jurgens, and you are listening to the All Star Superfan Podcast.
We talk Superman, and we know what's happening. We talk Superman, and we cover everything.
Hello and welcome to the All Star Superfan Podcast, the podcast that sees heroes, crusaders, lovers and podcasters set aside their differences and join forces for the common good. From interviews with the greats to deep dives into unexplored corners to fun-loving chats about wonderful stories in every medium, we celebrate all things super and all things friendly. And I have the perfect co-host to do that, my very own buddy cop, literally, Mr. Alan Burke. Alan, would you agree that 2 against 2 are better odds?
Rob, I won't have vigilantism in my town.
They say that 2's company, but 3's a superhero team. And joining us tonight all the way from or should I say Starling City, co-host of the wonderful Always Hold On to Arrow, Mr. Lance Laster. Welcome finally to the show, sir.
It's great to be with y'all. And out of Star now. We've changed names several times, but we're Star now. But yeah, it's good to be here.
Remind me, so that's season 4 that kicks in, is that right?
Yes.
In Arrow?
Mm-hmm.
Now, not that you need any introduction, Lance. Anyone who listens to any Superman podcast will know who you are, but this is the first time you've been on our show for one reason or another. You did make an appearance, very graciously I might add, on my ill-fated Nightman, the series rewatch podcast, which never saw the light of day. Not because it wasn't good, it was hilarious, and it will feature on our Patreon at some point.
I was about to say
I never got around to editing it. There's like 5 of them there, and I can't wait to get them out. But would you care, as we do with all of our new guests, to step us through your brief history with the Man of Steel?
Well, I mean, I think it's like most people and a lot of people of a similar age, of at least my age. You know, I grew up with the Reed movies, watched those, in particular Superman 1 and 2, over and over again as a kid. But however, I think for me with the comic books at least, it was the death of Superman, because I remember that being a huge deal. Because I remember seeing like a news report on it. Tom Brokaw did a story on it. I remember watching watching the news with my parents, and he's talking about this, and so like it was a huge event, and so that kind of got me into reading more Superman comics. Then of course I went back and read some things that I hadn't read before, and then I've just kind of kept up after ever since. I read I was really into, that story, not like our friend Anthony was, but that's kind of a gateway as far as like me reading a lot of the material. And then of course, around the same time, you get Lois and Clark on TV, and then after that there was kind of a lull, but then Smallville was a huge part of my life, and as everybody who's probably listening probably knows already, and so I've just kept up with the character ever since. He's a lot of people know me as mostly as a Batman guy, but Superman is right there. My 2 favorite characters in fiction are Batman and Superman and Batman. So I pay attention to all of his incarnations, and every time he comes up in something, I'm always there to look at it, watch it, read it, whatever the case may be.
Well, you've come to the right episode, because this week we're talking all about Batman and Superman, because we're going to be talking about the world's finest 3-parter of Superman the animated series. But for some of us, that might not be how we originally discovered it, and I want to talk about that in a second. But before we do that, I wanted to throw the ball around a little bit, because this is one of the most, I think, for people of a certain age, this would be one of the most celebrated Superman and Batman team ups. But I wanted to ask both of you, are there any other team-up stories, film, animated series, or comics that really stand out to you that are your favorites? Alan, are there any other ones that you are really partial to that you can think of?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan, to be honest, of the team ups. I in hindsight, I like a lot of the stories when they're in their own separate worlds. But I do remember back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I read Superman and Batman Generations. Does anybody read that?
I remember that.
It was an Elseworlds. John Byrne wrote it, I think. And it kind of followed the Golden Age characters if they had aged in real time, and followed to see where they were by the 1990s. I remember I really enjoyed that one. Obviously, Public Enemies, the Jeff Loeb Public Enemies, and they made that into a pretty decent animated movie then afterwards, a few years later. World's Finest, obviously, from the 90s. I have read a good few of, I'd say maybe the first 12 or 13 issue of Mark Waid's World's Finest.
Oh, yeah.
From I think it started around 2022. Remember, just after, he hinted towards it when he was on our show, Rob, and then I think it started after that. That was quite good as well. Look, it's not really a team up, but I suppose you have to kind of mention The Dark Knight Returns as well. I mean, they're both in that fairly strong, and it's just an absolutely superb book. But to be honest, like, growing up, like, this was really a huge kind of, this movie, this three-parter, I refer to it as a movie a lot because that's kind of how I first came on it on VHS. Again, like, this was a really big one for me too.
Well, what about you, Lance, in terms of other kind of Batman, Superman stuff?
Oh, well, Alan knocked all the big ones out pretty quickly there. I'll add to that, I guess, in addition to this, but like, it's all the moments that are in Justice League, because those two have a lot of moments where it's kind of just them and their relationship. And I always thought that they really kind of knocked it out of the park with these two. Obviously starting with this that we're about to talk about, but everything that happens subsequently just kind of expounds upon all that stuff. So so all the things that Alan mentioned into those, I'm really digging the Mark Waid run. I think it's a whole lot of fun, and it gets to use a lot of those, I guess, like the characters from that era, and they're kind of keeping them there, even though, like, a lot of them have since grown up and lots of things have happened. We're kind of staying in the era where they were probably their most recognizable, and not only Batman and Superman, but all the characters that they come across. I mean, Dick Grayson is Robin, like the original Teen Titans are there. So like, this is like the heyday for DC, and this is kind of where their identity kind of lies. So they're sticking and playing in that toolbox, in that toy box. So I like that, and so I like everything that's coming out with that.
I omitted to mention as well the Man of Steel, the John Byrne, where they meet up for the first time. I really like that issue as well. I really love that. And growing up, my dad had these old DC annuals, and there was some really wacky stories with Superman and Batman meeting up. I don't ask me to name any of them or what they were about, but they were. I know they were off the wall with dinosaurs and other planets and all sorts of weird stuff. So shout out to that too.
I was going to mention, Alan, I remember when we did our John Byrne Man of Steel episode a year or two ago now, and a lot of that story doesn't hold up for me, to be honest. Like, there's a lot of kind of problems I have with it, reading it in a modern context. But maybe the one story that I think really does hold up is the Batman team-up issue. I think that's probably the highlight of it now for me. That and maybe the Bizarro issue. Like, it's a really strong issue. Batman is so cool in it, and it's a really good sort of modern reinvention of their relationship where they're kind of at odds a little bit. They look at things very differently, and Batman's a bit more of a hard ass, and it ends with that ridiculous line where Batman's like, in another world we could have been friends. It's just it's so ham-fisted, but it's great. Look, I'm on pretty much the same page as you guys, all the big ones. I do think it cannot be overstated just how impactful Dark Knight Returns was in terms of like reinterpreting their relationship. Like, they were at odds throughout that whole story, and it was a very kind of reluctant, a strained friendship. Like, it wasn't like they were best buds like they were in the Silver Age. And speaking of the Silver Age, I had this trade paperback growing up called The Greatest Joker Stories Ever Told, and there was a bunch of Silver Age stories in that. And for me as a kid, it was my first time reading a lot of Silver Age stories, and in that book there was a story called Superman and Batman's Greatest Foes, it's called. I think it's World's Finest number 61 or something. Basically, Joker and Luthor, because I don't even think he was called Lex Luthor at that stage. They team up and they create, Lex creates these things called Meccano Men, which are just robots. And they act, of course, they act for the whole story like they've gone straight, and they humiliate Batman and Superman a bunch of times by doing things that appear to be crimes but then are not. And then at the end of the story, they use their robots to like switch places with them while they go off and rob the state depository or something, and Batman and Superman stop them. And it's a ridiculous Silver Age story, but as a kid I just thought it was so cool. And it's a real contrast between like modern Batman and Superman, where they're at odds all the time, and the classics where they're just literally best friends. and Robin's always there, which I always thought was kind of lame, because when you see Batman and Superman team up, you only want them. You don't want Robin there running around as well. But yeah, and I just to add to Alan, you mentioned Public Enemies. I love that storyline. I love that actual comic storyline. I do love the movie as well for a very different reason. The movie is much more kind of like a fun buddy cop romp.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
and not even in a bad way. Like, I think it's really fun. All the villains show up. It's Tim Daly. It's probably one of my favorite Tim Daly performances as Superman, because he has so much fun in it. Like, he gets loads of zingers and loads of one-liners, and he's constantly kind of like giving Batman sass in a way that I don't really think they did enough of in this. And then Tim Daly obviously wasn't in Justice League. That whole comic, I think it was called Superman/Batman. Yeah. From the early 2000s. There's great stories in there. I think Public Enemies probably is the high watermark of that whole book. But there's other great ones.
What I love about that book is the inner monologue of both of them.
Yeah.
And you can see how they think so differently. That was one of the things that always stood out to me when I look back on that one.
There's a great
you can see how they think differently, but at the same time they kind of converge on the same thing, right? And I think that's the key with getting those two in their relationship and their dynamic correct. They ultimately have the utmost respect for themselves, and for each other. But they're both kind of like too stubborn to like really kind of like to like showcase that, in a lot of ways. But like they think the world of each other, and they each think that like the other is the better person, the better man. And it's just it's a good insight into their characters. I also actually wanted to name another that I liked, the double date issue with
I was going to mention that one.
That was the Tom King run, right?
It was Tom King,
yeah. So I love that issue. Like they go to the fairgrounds and that whole, and like how he depicted their relationship in that whole run. How Batman just kind of speaks. He's like, hey, we're gonna do this. We would like you to be there. And he's there in a second. And so I like that aspect. Like they're a little bit more adult at that point in time, and you could tell that they're friends. They respect each other, and they're not necessarily at odds, but you can tell that they argue a lot, that type of thing. But at the end of the day, they do anything for each other. That's what I love.
And there's a great bit at the end of that where they both say the same thing about each other, that they think the other person is a better man than them, which is just lovely. It's really, really nice. But to go back to the Public Enemies, what Alan was saying about the different thought boxes, there's a really kind of bleak moment where Superman says, because it recapped the Public Enemies at the start of the first issue, recaps both of their origins back to back. So you see the Waynes getting shot right as you see Kal-El leaving Krypton and stuff, and we skip through Smallville and Batman's training and all that, and then it finally ends with a big hero shot of Superman and a big hero shot of Batman. And the hero shot of Superman, he says something like, "It's been a wonderful life," or something, and then it cuts to Batman and he says, "It's not a life I'd wish on anybody." And it's really, it's just it's a lovely, it's a bit tragic contrast, but it's really really nice.
It's Ed McGuinness who does the art for that, isn't it?
Yeah, and I didn't always love it as a kid, but looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, man, I really like that Ed McGuinness artwork now.
Me too. Underrated Ed McGuinness.
100%. I think I don't know, was it you or someone else who pointed it out to me on that Ed McGuinness, it really feels like he grew up loving Masters of the Universe, and he just he always wanted to draw kind of Superman like that, where he's just like,
what a timely mention of Masters of the Universe, Rob. Yes.
Sorry, yeah. So,
shout out to
take
Jared
it away
Leto.
if you want to briefly segue into that, because we did an entire episode about the '87 movie. So Alan, give us you're the super fan here. You've got the sword just out of frame.
I'm excited. So my cousin texted me yesterday, and he was like, "Oh, the Masters of the Universe trailer," and he's the kid that I would have grown up watching it with back in the day, so he was super excited. And we watched the teaser, and then Alana was super excited to watch the trailer the following day, and she wouldn't watch it until I came home from work. So we sat down together. She went in and got a Prince Adam action figure, probably the only kid in 2026 who has a Prince Adam action figure, 6-year-old. And we sat down and watched it, and I'm really excited, man. I think it's going to be great. I think it has the right tone to it. I think it looks great. I think they're pretty on point with the source material. And yeah, I wanted it to be a bit tongue in cheek. I didn't want it to take itself too seriously, and that seems to be the kind of the way they're going with it, kind of like the Dungeons and Dragons movie from a few years ago, and the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and those kind of films that have come out over the last 10, 15 years. So yeah, I'm really excited, man. Look, to be honest with you, it's 2026. I am 42 years old this October, and if you had told me 10 years ago that I'd be getting a new Masters of the Universe movie and a new Masters of the Universe game side-scroller on PS5 in 2026, I wouldn't have believed you. So look, I'm just grateful to see this, to see it all in this day and age.
So Alan, we have a special guest here. We have the whole podcast audience is listening. Will you step out of frame, pick up the power sword, and do an I Have the Power for us?
I would have to go into the hall to get it.
Okay, next time, baby.
Maybe next time. It's really heavy, Rob.
Well, I mean, do you have the power or don't you?
I do have the power. I do have the power. For anybody who doesn't know, I have the Factory Entertainment 1-to-1 scale stainless steel leather gripped power sword replica hanging in my hall. So awesome. I put a picture up on the inside All Star Superfan Facebook group yesterday. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of Masters of the Universe. So
there is a picture of me wielding that somewhere. I don't have it anymore because I changed phones. Do you still have that phone?
I'll probably be able to dig it out all right. Yeah. I'll post it.
So yeah, any other other sort of Batman, Superman stuff anyone wanted to mention before we move on?
I mean,
no, I don't. I'm pretty. Obviously, look, we can all turn around Batman.
I was about to say, like, there's an elephant in the room.
The biggest movie we haven't mentioned.
Well, before we mention that, I did just on the topic of that comic, Superman, Batman from the early 2000s. There's a bunch of great issues. There's a bunch of not so great ones as well. But there's a storyline called Kryptonite. And it is, I think, generally speaking, it's just an okay storyline. I think Batman and Superman try to hunt down every piece of kryptonite left on Earth just to eliminate kryptonite as a concern. But the funniest thing about that storyline is it opens with Batman and Superman watching a Batman and Superman movie being made, and it's really cool the way they do it. And it's like so they're just watching from a distance, and you have these actors, and one of the actors is wearing like a kind of a George Clooney style Batman costume with like nipples on it, and then the other guy is like a really skinny sort of like K-pop looking guy with like a 3D S. It's clearly supposed to be a parody of the Brandon Routh Superman Returns costume.
Okay.
And I always just thought that was so funny. And it was so ahead of its time because this was before BvS or anything like that. And the funniest thing about it was because it was an in-universe movie, and no one knows that Clark Kent is Batman or Bruce Wayne. No one knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman or Clark Kent is Superman. They completely the fake film that they're making, the two characters have completely different origins. And
very good.
Batman's name is like Lance. Like he's talking about.
I think that too. I think his name is Lance.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, never. Yeah. So, bunch of great issues of that, and okay, cool. So, this is the year. We are celebrating the 10th year anniversary of BvS. I was going to briefly mention it. I do want to do a full retrospective episode on it later in the year, and another episode on a very other important Batman versus Superman story from the early 2000s that never saw the light of day. But take it away. If anyone has anything to say about it, now's the time.
On BvS, I'm not a fan. I think overall, like, the movie's kind of a mess. And I think it was the wrong move to have them be depicted that way. In the second movie out of the gate for that universe, to have them be so adversarial, when people know that they are allies, and then I think the movie kind of makes them both look very, very foolish. And in general, like the whole setup of their conflict, I was like, the two of them should have been able to figure this out much quicker than they did. And it was just it kind of made them look foolish just so they could have them fight. And it's like, for people who know the source material, there's a reason why they're fighting, right? And so, in this movie, kind of didn't really, like, the reason for them fighting is pretty surface level at best. And so, I think just the whole direction and tone of it was just wrong to me. And it unfortunately set them back in a lot of ways.
I think just to add, and I really don't want to go down a big thing, I also do not care for it. And I think a key issue with it was it didn't really set up a proper ideological conflict between Batman
Correct.
and Superman. Like it did, because it fundamentally hadn't really set Superman up as this kind of paragon of virtue. So
Exactly.
there was no real contrast there. They just both felt like tortured macho dudes who wanted to kill each other. And I was kind of like, okay, so, and so you have all these scenes where Superman's like, oh, I'm going to have to try and get him to team up with me, or if he doesn't team up with me, I'm going to have to kill him. I'm like, do you have to kill him? And then he has that line, no man stays good in this world.
Yep.
Do we need any of this, Zack Snyder? All I'm going to say is I really respect that Man of Steel means an awful lot to people, and I can really see why in a lot of key ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not seen Zack Snyder's Justice League, so I can't comment on that. But if you're one of these people for whom Batman v Superman really means an awful lot to you, and it touches your soul, I'm really sorry, but I cannot understand why. Like I get the central idea of, Batman is a broken soul at the start of the movie, and through his interactions with Superman, he learns that men can still be good. I think that's a very interesting idea. I think it is handled so poorly in that film, and I really, really dislike it to this day. I am interested to watch it again for the 10-year anniversary, but that's all I have to say about that. Alan?
I really like the scene where Bruce Wayne runs the opposite way into the building that's falling down.
Yeah.
Jack!
And that's about it, to be honest. I viscerally dislike it. I saw it at the Irish premiere back in 2016. I didn't like it then. I thought it was dark and I thought it was mean, and it just wasn't for me for reasons we'll get into in the episode. But for anybody who does like it, we will get someone on who with us who did like the movie, so that we can have a bit of a counterbalance. So I don't want you to think that it's just going to be us saying what we don't like about it for 2.5 hours. But yeah, I haven't seen it. Now, to be fair, I probably haven't seen the film in about 7 or 8 years. So I could go back and watch it. I will go back and watch it again before we do that episode later on this year. But overall, no, it just left like the Jesse Eisenberg and the Granny's piss pot and all that kind of stuff. All the stuff in it that I just don't. There's just so many things I don't.
But Alan, have you seen the Ultimate Edition? Because that version's so much better.
No, I have not.
Have you seen the Ultimate Edition, Lance? And do you agree that it is so much better?
I have seen it, and it is not much better. It just makes what we saw longer.
I have also seen the Ultimate Edition, and I also do not believe that it makes it better. And in fact, it adds dialogue into it that I think makes it worse. There's a bit where someone says, how are you going to solve our problems? With a pen? And just there's a lot of just clangers in the dialogue in those Zack Snyder movies that just really rub me the wrong way. And I never really hear people say that, but maybe one of the things I liked the least about that whole era of films was just the dialogue was so heavy-handed. And I think maybe when you're not having fun in a superhero movie, you spot those errors. And like you said it as well, Lance, that there's a lot of stuff that makes them look foolish. Mm-hmm. Like you can probably point to plenty of stuff in Marvel movies where, of course, Captain America shouldn't have thrown his shield that way. He should have done it this way or whatever. But you don't notice those things because you're having fun. You're going along with the movie. When there's no fun to be had, you spot those kind of errors a lot quicker, I think. And anyway,
I think the fun that I have with the Batman Superman stories that I enjoy is that friendly rivalry. Like the rivalry is there. It's a buddy cop movie. They the destination may be the same, but the approaches are so different. And I think they just fundamentally didn't understand the dynamic of that relationship. And to be fair, it would be hard to depict it with that version of Superman, I think, in that movie, because there is no opposite. Like you said, Rob, they're both pretty much just the same to varying degrees or whatever. Yeah, no, look, we'll get into it later.
Actually, I've just thought of another question I want to ask. We're jumping all over the place, and then I promise we will finally get into the movie. One of the interesting things we've seen in a lot of other Superman media are these examples where they weren't allowed to use Batman and they used someone else instead. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to pick your brains on that, Lance, because I know you're a big CW guy as well.
Yeah,
I'm quite partial to when they do that, I have to say. And I think some of those examples. So I'm talking, of course, about in Smallville. Oliver Queen is really a stand-in for Batman for a lot of that show. You can argue a little bit about the characterization. I think, having gone back to it in recent years, I really feel like Oliver Queen in that show might actually be more like Oliver Queen than Oliver Queen in the Arrow show.
Yeah.
I think but I think they're definitely going for a Batman Superman vibe in that. And then similarly, I would even argue in Superman and Lois, I think Steel in that show is definitely a stand-in for Batman in a bunch of ways. And I think you can definitely see some kind of connective tissue with the Ben Affleck, the DCEU version, and some of his motivations at the start of the series very similar. I just wanted to ask you guys a bit about that. How do you feel like those versions? And sorry, last thing, I would even say Mr. Terrific in the new movie. I know you weren't the biggest fan of it, Lance, but there was some similarities there as well, I felt. How do you feel about that? Does it need to be Batman, or can it be a stand-in?
Well, I think it can be other characters, and I think what they're going for is somebody who is not as super powered as Clark is, right? Because like in all the examples that you mentioned, you have a guy who uses a bunch of science tech, and you have a guy that had puts on like an exosuit and who's a former soldier, and you have just a guy with a bow and arrow, right? These are all just like, just regular.
And they're all
men.
driven by vengeance in some way or another.
In some way, right? And so, and like they have this, and these like, I hate to use this term, but like these hyper alpha dominating type of personalities, right? And kind
of like ourselves. Yeah.
Indeed. And like, hyper focused, hyper driven, type of people, who like, self-made, trying to, make the best of themselves as they possibly can. And the contrast that is created is you have that with somebody who is so, basically divinely gifted with these out of the world powers. And so having those two interact creates the conflict that's necessary for storytelling. Because like their perspectives on life is completely different. If you are somebody who's had to work their entire life to attain the perfection that is limited by being a human, to somebody who is superhuman, that creates like, different mindsets on things. And I think that's the point. Now, I think it works best with Batman because he was the first, number one, and there are icons and standards for a reason. So I think that's why it works. And I think it also works with Green Arrow as it did on Smallville because, I've mentioned, you mentioned how Oliver in Smallville is more Green Arrow comic book like than Oliver on Arrow was. And yeah, I've said that a lot on my podcast. And there's some reasons for that, but the reason for that is like the reason why he's, why Oliver was used and often is used when you can't use Batman is because like the Green Arrow is a Batman pastiche. They just changed.
Yeah, he was created for that reason.
Yeah, they just changed the gimmick. If you look at his creation, which was like a few years after Batman's creation, they used everything that Batman had. He's a millionaire. Like at the time, he was a millionaire, now billionaire, playboy, has a sidekick in red, has gadgets, has a car, has a cave, has a plane, like all those types of things. So it's like it's the same thing. So which is why it sometimes annoys me when people one of the knocks that people try to make on Arrow is just like, oh, it was just Batman, blah, 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 blah. I was like, well, yeah, like the whole character, that's the entire point. When you get into it, you realize that he's different, but at the onset of the creation, the point of it was to be another version of Batman. So.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that, Alan?
Yeah, no, I agree. I always kind of think it feels like a cover band.
Yeah, it is
ways,
a bit, doesn't it?
I think Lance is right. I think ideally it should always be Batman and Superman. I think that's what people want. They're the big hitters for DC. They're the OG guys, and they're the guys whose approaches and backgrounds are fundamentally so different. Like when you think, yes, okay, Oliver Queen has a very similar background in that, but when you think murdered parents, billionaire, tech, you think your first thought goes to Batman. And I think those stories always come out the better when I think seeing each other's perspective and learning each other's perspective improves both characters to a certain degree, and that's what makes those stories so interesting. And I think you really, yes, you can do it with others, but I think fundamentally it should be done with Superman and Batman, and that's what I always enjoyed the most when I read those stories.
The reason I brought it up as well is I really feel like in some of the early CW crossovers, you could definitely see a similarity
they did that
between
with Flash and Arrow. Yeah, they did it
with Flash and Arrow, definitely. Like and like they really write, especially in the Flash episodes where Arrow turns up. they write him to really feel like Frank Miller Batman, and they do some really cool stuff with the two of them throughout those crossovers that I really, really liked. But it absolutely feels like they're kind of drawing from Batman Superman team ups rather than Flash and Green Arrow team ups.
Oh yeah. Oh no, they 100% did.
So I wanted to, so we're talking about the world's finest three-parter of Superman the Animated Series. Now I wanted to ask a question about this because when I found out about this, it was not as a 3-part episode of Superman the Animated Series. It was as a movie. It was a straight-to-video movie called The Batman Superman Movie. And Alan, I have a feeling that's probably how you discovered it as well. Would I be right?
Yeah, so when would this have come out? Around 1997?
97, 98, thereabouts, yeah.
Yeah, around 97, 98. So I had kind of moved away. Obviously, I was a huge Batman the Animated Series fan when I was a kid. By 97, 98, I was in like my second year of secondary school, of high school. So I was kind of sleeping in on Saturday mornings. I wasn't really watching the cartoon shows and stuff as much as I was. And I had
Too busy watching Babes.
Too busy watching Babes. I kind of moved away from Superman the Animated Series and stuff. So I believe the first time I saw it was in the church that is Strand Electric. I've mentioned it numerous times before, the video store in my hometown of Tremor. And I remember seeing it as the Batman Superman movie and renting it as far as I can remember. And yeah, really, really enjoying it. Obviously, when I got it, I discovered and I had an idea from looking at the cover art and stuff that it was a couple of episodes turned into a VHS tape. But yeah, that's how I first came upon it. And then obviously I kind of revisited the animated series then later on, more so when it came out on DVD and VHS and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was my first interaction as well.
I've a similar story in that I first heard about it when I was at my very first comic convention in probably late 96 or 97. They had a video copy of it from America. It wasn't even out here yet. And the guy, the vendor at the Comic-Con, and back
Jared
then,
like, was it?
Which?
It wasn't Jared Christopher.
It was not Gerard Christopher on this occasion. No, it was a greasy-haired guy in his 50s in a leather jacket, because that's what Comic Cons were like back then. It wasn't all these colorful people with pink hair and cosplayers. It was old men
it was underground
in leather jackets, and it was all, it was very underground kind of vibe to it. And he was selling like a bootleg of it that he had taped himself. He'd copied the tape over. And I thought this was the coolest thing ever. And it was all I wanted was to buy that tape. My dad wouldn't buy it for me, but it did come out about 6 months later, I want to say, on video here. And I finally saw. I remember we had to go to mass first. It was a Sunday, and I had my money saved up to buy it, and I was so psyched. And we had to go to mass, and I was like sitting there, like tapping my toes all the way through mass, and like, please end, please end, please end. That was probably the beginning of the end of my faith.
Oh no!
But yeah, I remember watching it, and honestly, like, of the whole new Batman Adventures era, this is comfortably the thing I've seen the most of that whole chunk of episode. I've watched this like upwards of 70 times on video, and it's definitely the episode of Superman the Animated Series I've seen the most. Like, we've talked about it a little bit. I like Superman the Animated Series. I would probably say it's my least favorite of the DC animated universe. It's probably tied with Batman Beyond, which I also really, really like. But like, well, there's episodes of season 2 and 3 of Batman Beyond I haven't even seen, and there's definitely episodes of Superman I've only seen once.
I'm actually in the middle of a Batman Beyond rewatch at the moment. And I'm really enjoying it. I have to say.
I keep meaning to get the whole way through Batman Beyond. I kind of always reach the end of like midway through.
Set right there, if you look up in the corner on my shelf.
But yeah, no, not that we dislike it, but it's not high in my ranking of Superman stuff. But this is definitely the thing I've seen the most, and I've so many fond memories of just like binging it day in, day out. What about you, Lance?
Well, I've seen this a bunch, and then I remember, I think the first time I saw this was presented as part of like the Batman Superman Adventures, like Kids WB, right? And like here. And so, because, Batman the Animated Series ends 95, Superman starts in 96, and then they have this episode in season 2, and then shortly before there, though, they started the new Batman Adventures, but then they ended up combining and having an hour long, like around that time they had an hour long block where it would be Batman and Superman back to back.
They did that over here too.
They
I
did?
think.
Okay.
I don't think they did, because I remember.
I'm almost sure, man. I saw it on like UK TV where they had one after the other. I'm almost sure.
Well, because
in America they actually had an intro where it was
they
like
did.
Batman.
They had a new intro and a new theme song.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, there was a new intro and a new theme song. And it was clips from, obviously from Superman the Animated Series and from the new Batman adventures. And it had a really cool opening. Like, the theme was really cool. Still believe it was still Shirley Walker. And that's how it was introduced to me, because this is kind of their way of signifying that this is a new type of era, because the last season of Batman the Animated Series, it was Batman and Robin, and so they tried to do a whole new type of rebrand for that. So this kind of signified that it was different. And I remember at the time thinking, I was like, well, which era of Batman is this, because of the costume? And that was kind of confusing, because I always kind of thought that the yellow oval meant progress of him forward through time.
Version 2
Version 2 of the costume. No yellow oval meant it was earlier in the timeline. And so one of the first episodes that you see of the new Batman adventures is Holiday Nights, and you see a young Robin, and I was like, oh, we're going backwards in time with this. But also that didn't work, because you have Barbara Gordon who's there as well. So shout out to Watchtower Database, because they know all this. They know the timeline and what's canon and what's not. But you quickly find out this is a future. Dick Grayson's grown up and all this other type of stuff. And so that's kind of this is me figuring all this out, in the mid '90s, trying to figure all this out. And I was like, oh, this is what we're doing. But I definitely was very hyped about this, because this was a big deal. Of course, even back then, everybody understood that Batman the Animated Series was a special series and a special piece of media and a special part of the Batman lore. And so now including it with Superman, it opened up all new possibilities. And it was just even back then, it's oh, well, this is a worlds colliding type of thing. This is a really big deal. And then a few years later, boom, we have Justice League, and this thing is rolling. So, the birth of the DCAU kind of starts here.
How did you react to the redesigns at the time, Lance?
Just gonna ask.
Oh, the redesigns? It caught me off guard. And I get it, because I was because Superman was the main show that they were working on at the time, and so they wanted to make it fall in line with that and be a little bit more streamlined the way that was. So it didn't bother me as much. Only certain Batman designs, character designs bothered me. So, the new Joker was kind of weird, but I got over it. I did not like the new Catwoman. But I love the new Scarecrow. The new Croc was better. Penguin was kind of whatever. I didn't like the new Riddler, but they didn't really feature him all that much. Except for that one episode where he's with those villains on the talk show with fake Johnny Cochran. So
that's a dream sequence as well.
Yes, I know, but it's so funny.
we get skinny Jim Gordon as well.
We do get skinny Jim Gordon.
Post lung cancer Jim Gordon.
He always looks sick. Yeah, I know.
And Bullock is even bigger. In this, but Montoya is a little bit more streamlined. So some of the new designs work for me, some of them didn't. But that's okay. I don't think they missed on that many.
Where are you at on the redesigns, Alan?
Yeah, I'm the same. I absolutely loved the aesthetic of Batman the Animated Series, as did everybody. And when it came back, it took me out of it a little bit, because I just saw it as less than that. I mean, I just thought the art direction of the animated series was just so profound. Even as a kid, I just thought anytime you saw him in silhouette, all the stuff they did with it, it was just, it was so rich and so vibrant and so atmospheric. And I'm a huge noir fan now, but I wasn't at the time. I didn't know what that was. But it was only when I grew up that I was like, oh, this is what I liked about Batman the Animated Series as well, even as a kid. And I think it lost a lot of that. I have to say, though, I think story-wise and writing-wise, I think it kept up with the animated series. I think
I
that
agree.
the stories were very, very strong, continued on. I don't think there was a dip in quality there. But yeah, every time I see this, every time I see that version, and even every time I see this air quote movie, I always think to myself, God, I would love to have seen what this was like with a Batman the Animated Series style coupled with like a 1940s Superman Fleischer aesthetic. I would have just absolutely loved that. Like if you did something in the style of Mask of the Phantasm or something like that with Superman in it, I mean,
that's my dream.
I just think it would have literally just elevated this into something absolutely iconic, especially when Batman the Animated Series was so heavily influenced by the Fleischer cartoons. Like to have a 90s version of that Superman meet, oh my God, I mean, just take all my money.
Speaking of, have you seen like the designs for Superman the Animated Series that were more like the BTAS?
Yeah, so we had Dan Reba on a few years ago, and we spoke to him about this, and he told us about the reminded us about the original version of what they had planned and why that didn't work out. And I looked them up afterwards, and yeah, they're stunning. Yeah, and it's such a pity. I think that they didn't go that route. I can understand why they didn't, but I wish they had.
I think part of it was cost as well. Like Batman the Animated Series, it just looks like it cost millions more than this show does, I think. And
it's the black
and
on
also
black.
I think they were so geared towards toys by this point, and you can even the pace of Superman the Animated, it feels more like an action show. And you see that with the new Batman Adventures. I think at the time watching it as a kid, I was like, wow, this new design for Batman is badass. I absolutely loved it. I loved the new Robin. I remember loving the Tim Drake Robin, which was unusual because it was a rare example of me being a kid and actually liking a kid character.
The kid?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, like I think in most things when they introduce a kid, you're like, what? Why are they doing this? I don't want to watch another kid. I want to watch these,
which
grown-ups.
is so weird because that is the opposite effect of what they're actually looking for.
Totally, yeah. But that was a rare example of where I was like, oh, I like this kid. He's like me. I want to be like him.
I've always thought that concept was funny because I was like, none of you because like when I every time like I hear like when adults saying that, it's like none of you like interact with kids at all. No. Like they don't want to be like
I have
kids.
This problem at work all the time when I'm working on kids TV, and I'm like, you don't understand. Kids don't want to look at little kiddie things. They want to aspire to be cool teenagers and grown-ups.
No children run around as kids pretending that they're Robin with a grown-up Batman. You want to be Batman.
Yeah.
Like that's
but it's I think at the time, funnily enough, the first time I saw the new Batman Adventures was after Batman and Robin had come out here, I think. I don't know if that, I think, because we definitely got it. We get everything a little bit late, or well, back then we would have gotten everything a little bit later than in the US. And the first episode I saw was the Mr. Freeze one. And I remember thinking as a kid, oh, so the costumes look a little bit more like the movies now. Like Robin has a lot more red in his costume. Batman has a large bat instead of a little yellow oval. Are they trying to do with, and Mr. Freeze is the villain, is this going to be a show where Mr. Freeze is the villain every week, like the Shredder and Ninja Turtles? I remember thinking that, but obviously it wasn't that. I loved the redesign of Batman. Was not crazy about the redesign of Joker. I think it's pretty, I don't know what they were thinking about that.
I think that's universally accepted that it's not great.
They found a happy medium in Justice League.
Yes.
And especially in the Batman Beyond Return of the Joker movie, when you see those flashbacks, like that is that's a great compromise they came to there, I think. But the black eyes and the no lipstick is just a deal breaker. What are they doing? He needs to have the lipstick.
Did you like the redesign of Catwoman, Rob?
Yeah, I did. I was surprised here, Lance said. I do like the redesign of Catwoman, and I like the redesign of most of them. I really like the redesign Mr. Freeze. I think that's great.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The Joker is probably the worst one, and the Riddler is the worst. Well, another one I'd never hear people say, they changed the Batplane to more of a normal plane.
I was about to say the vehicles I did not like. I did not like the redesign of the vehicles.
Now I really like the redesigned Batmobile. Now a big part of that is I had it as a kid, but I really like that. I really like that redesigned Batmobile. But the Batplane it was such an iconic design in the first iteration, and it looked so cool. And they animated it in such a cool way. It was obviously an extension of the one in the Burton movie, but it's much bigger. Like it looks like kind of like an assault, like almost like a VTOL sort of thing. Whereas
I was
looked like a bomber.
I was likened it to like a bomber. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was such a step back in this new one. Like, what were they? And I don't think they ever made a toy of it, so like it couldn't have been a toy related thing.
I do remember there was a level in the PS2 Batman Vengeance game where you had to fly that plane. I do remember that. But no, I don't think I ever saw any toys for it.
But I think looking back now, when I got the DVDs probably 10 years later, I could really tell the difference in quality, animation wise, design wise, everything between the original Batman and the new Batman Adventures. And I think there are a bunch of clangers in that series. Like some of the best episodes of the whole Enterprise are there. Like the Over the Edge is great, Old Wounds is great, Mad Love. Incredible. There's a bunch of clangers in there. The Farmer Brown or whatever he's called. That's the worst episode of Batman altogether. They actually have a commentary on the DVD talking about how bad the episode is.
Is Over the Edge the one where he has the nightmare of Batgirl falling off the roof?
It's Batgirl's nightmare.
Yeah, that's an incredible episode. That is an incredible episode.
Oh, and the Bane redesign is great as well. Bane shows him in that episode. He looks badass. But yeah, sorry. Anyway, any last thoughts on Batman before we get into this three-parter?
It's really cool.
Yeah, really, really cool. I like the way they did the red sky in every episode because I don't think it was in every episode of the original. Well, I know it's in the intro, but I think a lot of the times the sky is normal. But in New Batman Adventures, it was always red, and I always thought that was cool. But yeah, the world's finest / Batman, the Batman Superman movie. So fellas, I'll throw it to you, Alan. What was your thought? Did you rewatch this in your lovely nerd cave that we can see behind you? And what was your rewatch like?
I actually rewatched it twice. I watched it last week with Alana Jean because she's joining me on the Batman Beyond rewatch at the moment because she's a huge Batman the Animated Series fan. And she wanted to watch the follow-up, so we're watching Batman Beyond. So then when I told her I was doing this for the show, she came in and we watched it in the Nerd Cave, and she absolutely loved it. And then I watched it again, like I was 12 years old, Saturday morning, cereal, sitting in my chair, watched it this morning, and had a great time with it. I remember it being great, and I really enjoyed it again on these two rewatches. Maybe one of the episodes is a little bit kind of boring compared to the others, but I think the first episode is the strongest of all three. I think the second one is decent as well. I think the third one is a little bit, it's basically just a slugfest really, the third one. But yeah, I think they struck the balance with the characterizations great. I loved seeing the Kevin Conroy Batman meet Superman. I loved the whole dynamic of it. Even the Lois stuff, I know people take issues with the fact that Lois falls for Bruce. To be honest, in this iteration, it doesn't really bother me that much because, number one, she dated Lex Luthor previously, so she has a thing for billionaires.
No, she didn't.
Did she not date him in Superman the Animated Series? Is there not a comment in the first one about how it's her ex?
Yeah, she mentioned I used to date him. She said I dumped him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like one line, but you never see it.
Yeah, it's one line, but it counts.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, no, it does count. Yeah.
But like the one thing about this version that I kind of forgive that for is that, I'm sorry, but this version of Superman and Clark Kent is pretty dull, guys. He's a pretty dull version of this character, especially when you compare him to the new Batman Adventures, Batman Animated Series, Kevin Conroy Batman. So the fact that, you know, she fell so quickly for Bruce Wayne when he's so dynamic, his personality even on this, he's a cartoon, but even his personality comes off the plane, he's so smooth and suave. It doesn't bother me at all that she'd fall for this guy. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the rewatch, and I have a lot to say about it.
I want to circle back to that because it's a very interesting point. But Lance, give us your overall thoughts before we dive in.
Oh, it's so good. This is perfect. And honestly, sometimes, like, you know, because I watch this often, but it's like sometimes I just kind of lament. It's like, why couldn't we get this in live action, right? The thing that matters the most to everybody, right? And how people, you know, never really, you know, give animation the respect that it deserves for nailing these characters. Because oftentimes live action screws it up, and like they have, and like they continue to do. But this is perfect. Every single thing about it is pitch perfect. And it's such a joy to watch, because they just nail everything, the dynamic, the mood, the characters, how they should interact, how they should resolve the conflicts, everything. It's you know, like that Homelander meme. Perfect. Like that's exactly what it is.
It is interesting because everyone's like, oh, well, it's so hard to reinvent Superman. It's so hard to do whatever new stuff with Batman. When you look at something like this, you're like, this is probably the easiest thing to do because you have two extremes and contrast them against each other. That's good entertainment. Like, this should be a home run. Like it makes perfect sense to, you know. I will echo what you said. The last couple of times I've watched it, I'm like, can it not just be like this?
Yeah.
Like, would that be so hard?
Exactly. It's like, why is it this difficult? Like, why is it so hard?
That being said, I completely agree. It's almost perfect, and even the action stuff in this, Alan, you mentioned the slugfest. That stuff is really good too. Like all the bits with the robots and the
pieces in all the episodes. Even the first episode with Air Force One, that would really work.
And
on the big screen
there's stuff in it where like you're kind of like, oh, does Superman's powers work that way? I don't know. Like there's a bit where he punches the guy on Air Force One. You're like, oh, maybe he shouldn't be.
Oh, he totally killed that guy.
It's a wicked sick moment. And there's a bit where like the robot's able to kick him, but then Batman's rope is able to kick. You know, you don't need to care about that stuff. You know? When you're having fun, you don't care about these flaws. But anyway, I just to circle back to something you said, Alan, that you believe that Lois would fall in love with Batman. I've no problem with Lois falling in love with Bruce Wayne in this. Well, I have a larger issue in that, like, we should be finding more interesting things for Lois to do than just falling in love with everyone.
Yes.
And I think that's where it would fall down in a live action version, which, by the way, they were planning to restore the Snyderverse.
Exactly.
My goodness.
That's one of the things that I don't get. Quickly on that, it's just like when people who are like wanting the new thing, it's like when people who still talk about it, I'm like, y'all have seen the plans. Like,
my goodness.
And you still want that? Okay. But anyway, as far as Lois is concerned in this, I think it's fine that she's kind of into Bruce as well, because in this whole thing, like throughout the entire Superman the Animated Series run, she and Clark were not a thing. They were friends. No. And she only kind of showed jealousy that one time when with the late Mr. Kent, when Lana shows up at his apartment later. But for the most part, they're more rivals than anything. And like, it's clear that Clark maybe have a thing for her, but he doesn't really do anything about it. And he doesn't seem like it's like the top of mind either. It's not like it's not a goal of his. He's just kind of like, well, I mean, if the opportunity presents itself, I'll do it. But like, it's not like man, I really like this girl. It's nothing like that at all.
I tell you the issue I have with it though, right? The issue I have is not that Lois would obviously fall, but he's a handsome, ambitious, go-getting billionaire guy, whatever. Mm-hmm. Why does Batman instantly fall in love with Lois Lane in this? It doesn't track with his characterization at all. And like that, what does he see in her? That, like, Alan, you often say you don't understand why Christopher Reeve would fall in love with Margot Kidder. I disagree. I think there are loads of little bits in that first movie where you're like, oh, this guy would fall in love with this lovely, friendly, beautiful woman. She's a whatever. In this, I'm like, I don't see why Batman, like, but a famously almost asexual Kevin Conroy Batman who doesn't really show, other than Andrea Beaumont, who breaks his heart. Yeah. Doesn't, and the odd time Selena Kyle. There's no real great love affair in that series. And then suddenly he's like head over heels for Lois Lane, and he's getting jealous about Clark. He's like, oh, is Clark your boyfriend or whatever? And I'm going along with it because it's fun and I'm having fun. But I'm like, he wouldn't fall in love with, and like, why would, like, he's jeopardizing his crime fighting career. Like, none of this tracks for me watching it now. I'm like, what is he seeing in her that
there's nothing wrong, Rob, with like raw sexual attraction. He sees her, she's a gorgeous woman, she's headstrong, she's top of her profession, he respects her.
But he doesn't see any of that though. He meets her when she stumbles and drops her paper and pen. That's his
knows of her but he knows of her already because he talks about her work.
I think
so. I get the impression that he's a fan of hers and admires her a little bit. I honestly didn't see an issue with that, because I'd have more of an issue like with the Bruce Wayne character, and he falls, you kind of see him with these bimbos and stuff for facade's sake or whatever, but like the Silver St. Clouds and stuff, these strong, the Vicky Vale kind of, like, Vicky Vale is someone who I can't understand why Batman has much of an interest in. She's basically a knockoff Lois Lane. Mm-hmm. It's not something that bothered me when I watched this, and it's whatever about what I mentioned earlier on in regards to this version of Clark and Superman, who I do find quite dull. I do find, like, all the things that people say about Superman as a character, being dull and boring and a Boy Scout and stuff, I find it's genuinely kind of true of this version. I think Dana Delaney's Lois Lane is kick-ass.
I know. I think Dana Delaney's performance is kick-ass. I think her Lois is actually she's kind of annoying, and she never really says anything nice to Clark ever. She
Lance,
always
back me up
calls him
here, man.
Smallville. She's always I know to watching it today. I was like, when is this person ever nice to anyone? Like she's just always making fun of people, always putting things down, and that's fine if you see a vulnerability in her characterization, but you never do in this show because she's either not in it or. You know, she's only ever there. She only really has one speed, and that's to be sassy. And it's like, I don't see where Clark or Batman would be enamored or would find a reason to fall in love with this woman the way we do in these other versions, where you see this little chink in her. Like the only humanity she ever shows is when she's jealous of someone else. Like she's jealous, or she thinks Clark is dead, and suddenly you're like, oh wow, she secretly did like him the whole time. You never actually see it in their friendship, and it just gets back to I just don't think romance was really the strength of the. I think the only romance I really warmed to, well, there's two: Andrea, obviously, in Mask of the Phantasm, and John and Hawkgirl in Justice League.
Of course,
those are the only two.
Those are the gold standards. But like, I don't know, I think I agree more with Alan on this. I think with Lois in particular, like I think both Superman and Clark, Superman and Batman, like Clark and Bruce, are attracted to very strong, independent, fierce women. If you look at the people that especially with Bruce Wayne, the people that he actually like kind of falls for, like the Talia al Ghuls, the Silver St. Clouds, like Selena Kyle. Those are people that like, it makes sense. And I think in this particular story, I think Alan's right. Like he's a fan of hers, and I think when he actually sees her in person, and she's kind of like fumbling over herself, I think he finds it cute and endearing. And then later, I think he presses the issue honestly, just to be a jerk, because at that point he knows that Superman and Clark are the same person. So I think he's some of it he's doing just to get under his skin. He's just kind of doing it just to do it. And then also, if you're Batman, if you're Bruce Wayne, and you have basically Lois kind of eating out of your hand. If you're any guy and you have like a beautiful woman eating out of your hand, you're going to take advantage of it in whatever way you can. And I think he was.
I wonder if you read, if you think about it from his perspective, it's known by this point that Lois Lane and Superman are a bit of a thing, or have a bit of a thing, or something going on there. Even the guy in Air Force One says it.
Correct.
When she says,
"Don't like that,"
that I'm Lane, and he's like, "Oh, you're the one that Superman's always saving." Maybe it was a case that it was his way of doing maybe that first date was initially just to get her out, get talking about Superman, find out some background on him, find out, something to do with that. Maybe I'm reading too much into it.
No, that was definitely part of it, but I think he ended up starting to like her. And then I think part of the ego of him was like, especially after he finds out that who Superman is, like was just trying to, get a rise out of him, just doing it just to irk him.
Yeah. That makes Batman a pretty shitty guy, but that's okay.
Yeah,
we see a lot more of Batman, the shitty guy, in this era, especially like in the early animated series. He's a really likable, vulnerable character. In the new Batman Adventures, he's a bit of a hard ass, and he's a bit of a dick to the other heroes.
Well, also don't forget, like it gets worse, like in the comic books, like with the whole like Barbara Gordon stuff. So granted, those things I disagree with, but again, I was not a creator on those things, but I wouldn't have done it, I'll say that.
A brown suit, yellow shirt Bruce Wayne was always kind of cuddly and friendly, and that black suit, white shirt Bruce Wayne,
red tie,
a bit of a dick. Red tie.
This was another thing I was going to ask, actually, and I was surprised watching it today that this isn't really as much of an issue, I don't think, in this three-parter. But the slow erosion of public Bruce Wayne in the new Batman Adventures really, really bothers me. It really offends my religious freedom. Like, it's like one of the first things everybody says about Batman the Animated Series and Kevin Conroy. It's like, oh, he does the Bruce Wayne voice completely differently to the way he does the Batman voice. And it's so cool. And then by the time you get midway through new Batman Adventures, both the characterization as he acts it, and also just the way the stories are written, Batman and Bruce Wayne are the exact same, man. Everyone should know who they are. And what the hell? You never hear the creators talk about it. I've never heard Kevin Conroy talk about it. What the hell happened there? Why did they get rid of that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I would be shocked if it was a decision that Kevin Conroy made himself. I'd say it was more direction on that. But yeah, I totally agree. I think that's a huge issue with it.
Maybe to a lesser extent in this. I think he's doing it a little bit in this. When he's talking to Lois, he's still kind of like, hi, his voice has gotten a little bit. It's gotten a little bit deeper, but he still sounds like a playboy. But then when he's talking to Lex, you're like, well, this guy's just Batman.
Yeah. But I wonder, there is a scene in one of the episodes as well. It's in the first episode where Lois calls Clark. It's just after Batman puts the tracking device on his cape, and Lois calls Clark. He lands, and he's in his PJs. He answers the phone, and it's Superman. Like I remember thinking, like, how would you not? Right, okay, we'll take the glasses, but on the phone when he doesn't make any attempt to sound different, how does she not realize it's him? So yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the Lex and Bruce dynamic in this, because I love that. I'm a big fan of Batman versus Lex Luthor stories, and I think they play off each other in costume and out of costume very, very well in this three-parter. What do you guys think?
I agree. I think, when he's Bruce and he turns down the military contract idea for his thing, like he just kind of asserts his dominance of like the fact that he has the upper hand and everything, and he can tell Lex no, because not many people can, and it really irks Lex. I thought that was cool. But then also
tell your pals in the Pentagon.
Yeah,
I just don't have the imagination.
So good. But
are you Batman?
Honestly, but after that though, when he burst into his room, like Batman is like legitimately scary to be in this, and the funny thing is, like, the people of Metropolis, this they're not used to this, like, because again, they're not used. So they would be. It's so funny, and it was fun to watch, like, how terrified a lot of these people were seeing Batman for the first time, because they've only like heard, like, read stuff or seen stuff, like, people talking about him on TV. This is not an experience they're used to. They're used to Superman and him showing up with a smile and just kind of doing things like that. But like Batman, like this, even in this animated series, like you can see, like, this would terrify somebody. And me in particular, but like this would terrify me, like, if I saw him in real life, if somebody actually did this, and I did the things that he could do, disappear, know things about people, it's like, it's just so cool. He just walks around like such a badass. He's so cool in this. It's so funny, especially like when he's talking to Clark, and he's like, yeah, thanks, I couldn't have done it without. He's like, I'm aware. And he just like, he just back grapples onto a plane and just zips away. It's just like, man, like, the cool factor is off the charts with this guy.
It's effortlessly cool. And to be cool in front of Superman like that, that is a certain skill set. Yeah, that's unbelievable. What did you guys think of the moment where he kind of flips Superman over? Uses his
that was definitely a bit as a kid where I was like, well, that doesn't quite. Isn't he like dense molecular structure? He's able to just do a karate throw on him. It's wicked sick. It's really cool. But
it's cool. So I've this is something that's like, I think about a lot. And I've also like seen like
that's why you're here.
Yeah, I know.
That's why you're here.
And I've also seen a lot of like videos on, like, people talking about this particular subject, or like, video essays and stuff like that. And one in which they that I refer to when I think about this, that has helped me in my understanding of this, and like, and kind of calm my system about it. It's they talked to a martial arts expert, like a judo master, and he was saying, like, look, like, Superman, at the time, likely is, he's overconfident. One of his weaknesses and flaws, he's overconfident, often has his guard down because nothing can really hurt him. But he can be taken by surprise, and you can do that to somebody who is physically stronger than you. Like, if they're not anticipating, Batman is always thinking moves ahead, and so in that case, it takes him by surprise, and so, which is why like Superman counters when he comes back and kind of body checks him, and gets the upper hand in that first little skirmish that they have, because that time he's locked in, he's actually paying attention. But like, it is well within the bounds for somebody who, with the experience, to kind of do that to somebody who's caught off guard.
We see it in live action in the Lois and Clark episode Chi of Steel. The ninja does it.
Oh, well, there you go.
To Dean Cain.
Yeah.
So there's some live action. I wanted to ask you this though, because I thought I heard it the first time, and I'm sure I heard it the second time when I listened. When Batman, and don't get me wrong, I love a Batman nightclub scene. I love that. I'm here for that all day, every day. When Superman turns up the nightclub, I'm almost sure there's a little hint of the John Williams theme.
There is.
Yeah, there is.
There is, isn't there?
Do, do, do. Yeah, you can definitely hear it there. I think
Wow.
it's Lolita Rithmanis did this episode, and she is obviously a different composer to Shirley Walker. And I think maybe she's doing less of the Shirley Walker Superman theme as a result of that. So she probably a little bit of John Williams crept in there. I wanted to point out actually, Lance, you'd appreciate this. I read a Smallville fan fiction story many years ago, and it was Clark Kent meeting teenage Bruce Wayne in Smallville, and there was a bit where they were kind of doing a macho display of something in front of people, and it didn't really read like true to either character's characterization, but it was fan fiction, so we go with it. But I specifically remember a bit where Bruce put Clark in a hold, like a wrestling hold of some kind, and it was so particular the way he had him held that Clark was able to use all of his super strength, and he still wasn't able to get out of this like wrestling hold he was in. Mm-hmm. So it just goes to your point of like,
I love it.
Now, I don't know if that makes sense. It probably doesn't, but I just thought it was interesting though that, you know, Batman's skill is such that he would be able to counteract Superman's strength with the sheer power of his skill. I still
in
question.
A lot of ways in a lot of ways you can. And again, martial artists are a special type of breed, because they understand like their body and also just bodies in like way better than a whole lot of people do. So it is they can catch you by surprise, and I think that's what it was. That what he did to Superman that time will work one time, and that was the one time that it worked.
Yeah, I still, and it's a problem I have in this as well when Joker uses the kryptonite on Superman, and he's immediately able to just give him a kick across the room. Like it just shouldn't work that way. If he has a dense molecular structure, he should be it should be like granite. Like you shouldn't be. Anyway, doesn't matter. Moving on.
Well, like as you said, if you're having fun, like you don't care.
If you're having fun, man. Alan, you mentioned the nightclub scene. What a great Batman scene that is.
Great
Fantastic.
Batman scene.
So good.
I love that when he like. We see the mobsters there. We see the guys doing the dancing and the disco lights and all that. They really set the scene. And I think there's a bit where the babe next to the mobster is kind of annoying him, like talking shit in his ear, and he's just not listening. I was going, did this must have inspired the very similar scene in The Dark Knight? I'd be surprised if it didn't. It's very, very similar. And I mean, I love that Batman even says to the guy, he's like, "Oh, it's been a long time, Carlini." Like that there's that built-in history between them, between Batman and this mobster we've never really seen before.
Yeah,
so
well, again, in universe, it makes sense. That guy got the hell out of Gotham, and it's just like, I'll go to Superman. I'd rather deal with Superman than this guy. I mean, kind of shows like, gives credence to what Joker was saying. He's like, there's nothing mere about that mortal. And so,
I love that.
And again, like, to the onlookers, the people who were still in the club, when they saw Batman throw Superman, they're probably thinking to themselves, holy shit. And also, can we appreciate the fact that this animated show showed like Batman and Superman having an altercation in a strip club, essentially? Like, I mean, again, like I've said this before on lots of different things. There's a difference between like adult and mature, right? And so too often, like, when people like, especially in film, and television, it's like, oh, we're going to make like, something like, for the adults. They just go way overboard and to the point where it's almost cheesy and comical. Yeah, but like animated shows can be
edgy versus.
But animated shows can be mature and tackle actual real world subjects and have actual real world things happening without it being over the top and without it being farcical. And so, so I've always appreciated that.
Totally I don't think I actually noticed, but it absolutely is a strip club. You're absolutely right. And I always have this
There's
dream.
a girl in a cage.
Yeah,
there is. Yeah, there's a literal girl in a cage.
Alan, maybe it's a family-friendly wrestling event. It's a cage match. I always have this dream of an episode of The Sopranos where Batman just crashes through the skylight of the because there now is a skylight for some reason of the strip club in The Sopranos. He just beats the shit out of everyone. That's what the Penguin show should have been, guys.
That should have been exactly.
Don't get me
just about to say it. I was just about to say it.
Don't get me started on the Penguin and the lack of Batman.
One of the things that I always remembered about this particular series of episodes, this particular film, was the reveal of the identities. How did you guys think they handled that?
I know I'm griping here and there. This is the best they've ever done that. Like, hands down, this is the best version of that they've ever done. Superman would immediately use his X-ray vision. That's what we all say in the playground. He'd know he's Batman straight away. Check. And then Batman would do a cool, savvy way of finding out that he's Clark Kent. In the comics, I think in like the Byrne reboot, the other one that sticks out in my head is like Superman gives Batman, it's a fucking stupid thing to do. He gives Batman the mysterious scrapbook that someone has been keeping.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Someone stole it, and he was trying to figure out if he could find out who stole it and why. And Batman flicks through the scrapbook, and he's like, "Well, you're obviously Clark Kent." And then after that, Superman uses his X-ray vision, and he finds out that he's Batman. That's a fun scene too. But like, why was Superman so stupid?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, absolutely love all that. And this is where I learned what touche meant as a kid, because Superman, he discovers the tracker and he sees Batman in the distance. Of course, it's a bat-shaped tracker because that's what Batman does. He puts his logo and everything. And he sees Batman in the distance and he crushes. He goes, touche, because at that point he's already shown him up by learning his. I had to have my mum explain that to me as a kid. What does touche mean? So that's a fun little memory.
What I love about it is the obnoxiousness of Superman when he does it. This kind of superiority when he does it. He uses the X-ray vision as like, I have this over you. I can do this. Isn't a big thing for me. And then when Batman gets him back, it's the smirk on Batman's face, knowing that he's got him, and gives him the little salute, and then just jumps off the building.
So good.
And it's pitch perfect.
Again, these are the dynamics that people want to see. We don't want to see them just fighting for no reason. Like, we want to see the constant one-upsmanship. We want to see the rivalry. We want to see the get and the get back. That's what we want. Right. And like, because all of this is forming their eventual friendship and relationship where they get to respect each other. I mean, round one of this is adversarial and confrontational. Round two, in this episode 2, they each save each other, and the respect starts to form. Episode 3, they're working together. I mean,
yeah. One thing I really loved that I don't think really stood out to me as a kid, but definitely watching it today, I loved it, was Bruce is on a date with Lois and the Joker shows up and like kidnaps Lois and nearly kills Bruce. Like it's pure blind luck, as happens to Batman in a couple of times in this 3-parter. It's only blind luck that he gets away. He falls on the not the fire escape, the window cleaners use.
The window cleaner cart,
and then he kind of climbs away, whatever. But then when he's talking to Superman at ground level later on, Inspector Turpin is there, whatever, and he's lecturing Superman again about how, with Joker, everything is not as it seems. Expect the unexpected. And Superman's like, maybe you should have thought about that.
Yep. That was good.
Flies off, like, wait, you tell him, Superman.
That was good.
Literally, the only reason that Bruce Wayne is still alive is because every goon and the Joker has the aim of a stormtrooper.
Yes,
that is the only.
Oh yeah, they're like a foot away from Bruce Wayne a couple of times in this, and they're shooting point blank, and he's fine.
But even when he's climbing up the balcony and the Joker shooting him from the blimp or the balloon or whatever it is, and the bullet holes are just hitting him all around except where it is. He's like, "See you later, Brucey." I was like, "Oh god."
There's a lot of kind of like stupid Batman in this, in a way that you don't really see in the animated series. Like this story in particular sort of needs him to be stupid, so that the other example is when he's fighting the robot. Great fight with the robot. Mm-hmm. And he lands in the Daily Planet and Lois is there. It's like, oh, are you the only one here? He should have just told her to run away. Instead he picks her up and like brings her downstairs and involves her in this robot attack.
And then says he's only after
he's only chasing me. All you need to do is run away. And then the other thing then is he's fighting the robot and his mask and his cape come off, which we never see in the animated series.
It gets caught in the printing press, doesn't it?
Yeah, stop the presses.
Well, the only thing I didn't like about that entire sequence was that I've seen this Batman fight bigger foes or worse foes than this and not need Superman's help.
Yes,
totally.
So that was my only issue with it. But like he's still so on point. I love the line, just talking about Batman. I know we're kind of fawning over Batman a lot here, but it's very rare we get to talk with Kevin.
Look, he's so damn cool in this. We have to.
He's so cool. But when Superman is affected by the kryptonite radiation, and he just leans down and says, "Pull it together, Kent."
Yeah,
I love that. It's like, man up, like just get, this is what we need to just get it done. I love that line. I love it.
And again, well, also that just kind of shows again, like, he may be being a dick sometimes, but like he's not like hoping that he's gonna fail. I mean, like it's like he's like, no, it's like, hey, you're Superman. Like let's get it together. Let's go. Like it's very much akin to like athletes and their teammates, and like not all of them like each other all of the time, but like they have a common goal, and so like they're gonna be like, hey, get it together. Let's go. And that's exactly what that was.
Yeah. And while, just to get back to the Bruce Wayne Lois thing, while I think it makes I have no issue with the fact that Bruce kind of falls for Lois and vice versa. Lois almost immediately during the space of a long weekend putting a transfer into Gotham makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever.
It's just like it's action movie pacing. Like we need we need to accelerate these relationships in such a way, and you kind of roll with it. And like plenty of superhero movies do that. Like Batman *89, like Vicky Vale, like I've loved you since the moment I met you. It was like, wasn't that 2 days ago? Like, I don't know, I'll go with it. But I totally agree. I was thinking, so are they engaged? Are they just, I guess,
they slept together even? What's going on here?
Well, yeah, because she makes that remark. She's like, when are you going to tell me the honeymoon? I always thought that was funny.
No, they definitely haven't slept with each other, because if they had, he'd have to wear the Batman mask, because he's really bad. And then she'd know much earlier. Let's talk a little bit about the great Mark Hamill and his relationship with Lex in this, which I also think is great fun. They're a perfect kind of odd couple bouncing off each other. You have the Joker is literally in some frames, he's like bouncing around the screen, and then Lex is just this perfect statue. Like there's a bit even when they're in the limo and he's like slinking look up behind him, and Lex is just sitting perfectly still. You can only do it in a cartoon, and it just looks so good. I love it.
Well, it's the classic, like, chaos in the straight man. Like that's what that is. And I like how, like, Lex is annoyed by him, but at the same time, like, wanting to do business. I like how Joker actually needs him because he has his own stuff going on. I love how the two of them each have a ride or die girlfriend who is literally willing to fight for them. The whole scene where those two are having their business meeting, and Mercy and Harley are just kicking the hell out of each other. It's so funny.
My daughter Alana Jean was laughing out loud at that. She thought that was so funny the two women were slapping the shit out of each other.
It's so funny.
And it's the best bit is at the end then, where Mercy is watching the TV and Harley has been hauled away.
Yep.
And she's like, now that's funny. Ow!
It's so good.
Really good. One thing I appreciated was, so the Joker negotiates with Lex to be paid $1 billion. A lot of money in 1997. $1 billion to kill Superman. And Lex kind of just goes along with it very quickly. But, it just speaks to how much he hates Superman and how desperate he is. So that's fine. But then much later in the episode, Joker's like, well, my price, if you want me to take care of two superheroes, it's going to be $2 billion. And Lex is like, no. I never remembered that Lex like puts his foot down. It's like, I'm not paying you more money. Solve this problem. And Joker just has to go along with it then. I really appreciated that, because Lex is possibly didn't negotiate a great deal in the first place.
Of course not. No.
It's nice to see him get the upper hand there.
Well, he underestimates the Joker, right? Like, as a lot of people do.
And Batman. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's just an interesting, like, when people have their own thing, they're used to their own, like, he's used to the hero dynamic that he has, hero villain dynamic he has with Superman, right? And he knows Superman won't do certain things, but Batman will do other things, right? Like, he's not used to that. Right. Similarly, Joker's not used to dealing with somebody that has superpowers, so it catches him off guard that Superman is able to kind of shrug off some of the the stuff that he throws at him. So it's always interesting when they kind of play in each other's playground.
Yeah, I really like rules as well with like animated series Joker, that he's not really a master planner. He's not really a genius. Like, a lot of his plans are really like ill-advised and kind of bullheaded. Like, his whole master plan in this is just lure Superman to Lex Labs, hold the kryptonite out like this, and hope he dies. He does. Whereas if this was like Heath Ledger, there'd be fucking kryptonite snipers on every corner, and there'd be some huge thing, and Superman would crash through this, but that was the plan all along, and then this and this.
Whereas dude had more powers than anybody else in those movies.
Joker's kind of a bit of a dumbass, but not in a bad way. Like, it's kind of funny, and like even the Joker fish thing, like he thought that was going to work out and it didn't.
Yeah.
I kind of it's kind of a breath of fresh air seeing him be so ridiculous about a lot of things, whereas in a lot of these newer versions he has to be like the absolute master genius.
I don't like that. The Hamill Joker, the animated series Joker, I think is a good balance of wacky, unhinged type of comedy and stuff like that, but also
Yeah.
he's legitimately scary, and like you can see why people are afraid of him. Again, it's played for a laugh in the animated series, but like when he uses the Joker gas and people just start laughing in the hospital. But like you have to remember, they don't show it. Those people die like that, and it's like that is crazy scary. And so, so again, like he is somebody that needs to be taken seriously, and you don't have to be to showcase being taken seriously by having like, Charles Xavier level, mental powers, and being able to predict everything and have a plan, be a master planner. Like that's not the only way to do it.
Well, the two things about this, there's two things. The first is I definitely misremembered this because I remembered in my mind the plot being more like a strangers on a train situation where like Lex had undertaken to go for Batman while Joker had undertaken to go for Superman.
Yeah.
Kind of I'll take out mine, you take out yours kind of a thing, which isn't really the case.
Mm-hmm.
As well as that, the only question I had is, how did the Joker know that Lex Luthor hated Superman? Like, is that a common, well-known fact?
It might be within the criminal element.
I would say that this is a very controversial opinion. That's a pretty big reason why this is not my favorite Lex Luthor. I think Clancy Brown is great and all that, and I really like the world building they do. There's a line in this where Mercy, or I think it's Mercy, says, he said he was going to destroy everything Lex had ever built. And Superman's like, Luthor's built half of Metropolis. I love that line. It just really sets up how big his impact has been. But like, he's pretty clearly a villain throughout all of this animated series. He's constantly, like, even at the end of this 3-parter, they're like, oh yeah, Lex Luthor was again interrogated by the DA. It's like, he's clearly a villain. Like, even more so than he was in the John Byrne stuff, where like a lot of people didn't realize that he was shady. In the animated series, like every other week, he's up to no good. Like,
look, man,
it's not like the John Shea version where it's kind of like he's charming and he's convinced all these people that he's this noble, pillar of the community. No, this guy's bad news, and he's clearly a bad guy.
Look, I hate to break.
History has shown us that
exactly. That's what I'm about to say. I hate to break it to you, but like,
yeah.
I mean, our current president is Lex Luthor. Okay,
wait, what?
And so again, it doesn't shock me.
Your current president, by the way.
Yeah, my bad. Excuse me. Sorry. But yeah. But yeah, the lone American on this. But yeah, that is a real life thing. So I mean, while like it can be kind of ridiculous for people like to be like, why can't you people see that he's clearly a villain? I wonder that every day.
Yeah. That's a fair point. It's a fair point. Yeah. And your current president, who was clearly, I think, an inspiration for the John Byrne version of Lex.
Yes.
And people were even saying about him back then. So
yes.
So
you've seen the cover. You've seen the cover of those of
The Art of the Deal.
Yeah, the Art of the Deal and that Lex Luthor comic book. I mean, it was done for a reason.
Yeah. In fact, actually, Kevin Conroy himself was like, "Oh yeah, well, I was a New Yorker my whole life. Like even back then, we were saying it about
this
him."
Is not your favorite depiction of Luthor.
It's not my favorite. I really like Clancy Brown, and I just think it's kind of one speed. He's kind of irritated all the time.
I love him, man.
And he's obviously the villain. But no, I do really like him. But I think I like other versions that are able to introduce a little bit of humor in there. I think it's right that they went the way they did, especially for this, because he contrasts with the Joker so well, because he's so humorless all the time, and he's so irritable. Like, he's the perfect guy for the Joker to rile up. So I think it worked really, really well. But I think other versions, I like when he's kind of a little bit kind of not goofy, but just kind of maybe sarcastic, or I don't know.
That's a good word.
Is this the only time we get Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, Clancy Brown, and Tim Daly together?
And Tim Daly, yeah,
I think it is.
Because Mark Hamill isn't in Public Enemies, so
no, and Tim Daly isn't in the Justice League stuff, and how do you think, say, in the third act, how do you think it paid off all in the end, Lance? Do you think it came together well in the end?
I think so. I mean, typically in these things, there has to be some big extravagant finale. I mean, this is nothing new. I mean, as somebody who, as a musician, right, who plays a lot of finales, a lot of these finales are these big epic type of things. And so things typically end this way. So I'm never bothered by big flashy endings, because I have to do that for a living. So,
Jesus. Sorry. Cut that part out. I thought you said you're a musician. Move on. Sorry.
Well, it would have taken Harley Quinn about 4 months to paint the teeth on that plane. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Don't say the word paint. Sorry. We'll definitely cut that out.
Oh God.
I love the ending. I was watching it going, whoa, I'd forgotten how many buildings get destroyed by a plane in this. I wonder, was there a period where this wasn't, because there was definitely Spider-Man episodes and Fantastic Four episodes that they had to stop.
They did,
anyway.
yeah.
That's such a cool, and I love the Lex wing. And it is a great way to raise the stakes. And I mentioned before that I like that line where she's like, Luthor's built half of Metropolis. It's just a cool way. And boy, are we selling some toys in this thing. Batman's got his jetpack. I have the toy of that over there. Was that the first time we saw that, or had we seen it in?
We had the hardback one, the physical one with the handle and
the glider,
series, I think, but we didn't have
that. Didn't have a jet in it though, did it?
Yeah, this is the glider and the jetpack are two different things. So I think this is the first time we see the jetpack.
And I love how everybody comments to him straight away that he has like some kind of complex about not being able to fly. Like Alfred says it, the Joker says it.
Alfred's like, if I may be so bold, when in Rome, sir. Great. Do it like this. Do it
so
like this.
Good.
Yeah, no, top notch.
And I made a note actually. There's a very famous line where Harley Quinn goes, "Pudding," and Batman responds, "At this point, he probably is." And
So
it's
good.
a great line.
So
I realized,
so funny.
There's no way he survived that fucking plane crash either, guys. I mean, it was crazy.
Well, he landed in water, and that's the secret trick of how the Joker always survives. But I realized as a kid, I never understood that line. And Alan, you'll appreciate this. We didn't really call what Americans call pudding in Ireland. When I think of pudding, I think of black pudding, which is what you call blood sausage, Lance. And I think of Christmas pudding, which is like plum
Christmas pudding. I think of,
I don't think of like the gloopy kind of yogurty stuff that Americans call pudding.
That's
now
what
we kind of have that now. Like you can get protein pudding and you can get all that, and it's probably just borrowing it from the Americans. But like back then, I didn't know what he was like. Wait, what? What does that mean?
I still kind of thought he meant that he was mush, though.
Yeah.
Like that he was like. To be fair, Superman probably could have saved him. Like, he had an extra free hand there to take him if he really wanted to, I thought. But, it's, I was watching the explosion was so over the top. I was like, there's no way anybody would have survived that. But yeah, very good. Yeah.
Would you say, I side note, like, of the times Joker has appeared to die, is this one of the times where you believed he actually did?
Oh yeah, like this was the most definitive death that I had seen, especially of the animated series Joker. Like you'd seen him fall off, into rivers and stuff before, whatever, into the ocean before, or off blimps before. But
didn't he get eaten by a shark in the Killing Joke or the Joker fish episode?
Yeah, he did. It was a shark or a wait? No, it was a shark, wasn't it? At the end of the Killer, the laughing fish episode. Yeah,
and then
that's right.
Mad Love, doesn't he fall into like a smokestack? Like through a smokestack or something like that.
Yeah,
from a moving train.
The big one is Mask of the Phantasm. Like that's the one. As a kid, I was like, "Is this just not canon with the rest of the series?" And like he loses teeth in that, and then he just has the teeth back next time. Like I don't even know if I consider this to be.
Why at the end I missed it? I can't remember from last week's viewing, and I missed it on this morning's viewing. Why does Lois end it with him in the end? Is it because he's Batman?
Yeah. Because she's like, there's stuff about you that I just can't really, reconcile, as Vicky Vale says.
There is a scene where she's clearly annoyed with him, and she's patching up. He has an injury on his back. She's patching it up. She goes off to get the iodine. She comes back in, and he's putting back on the uniform to go back out again. And she's like, and I really thought Dana Delaney sold it very well. She was like, "Oh no, not again. You're not going out there again." And you could really feel this kind of worry of like, I don't think I could do this every night. I don't think I could be here all night waiting for this guy to come in at 4 a.m. and then have him go back out and do the same thing the next day. I don't think I think they saw that
sort of
very
like
well.
Being married to a doctor. Because this film is so it's three-parter, is burnt into my brain. The way she describes burning, stinging, iodine, I always remember thinking, wow, as a kid I was like, iodine must be like the most painful thing in the world. And now every time I use iodine, I'm like, it's not that painful. It's fine. I'm obviously tougher than Batman.
I have to the conclusion of it then as well. The only another thing, and look, this is really kind of 2026 mentality as well. But I liked the line where he's like, where Bruce realizes that she likes Bruce and she likes Superman, but she doesn't like Batman and she doesn't like Clark. And maybe if they mixed and match, it would work out better. That's fine. But when he's walking off and he says, "She's all yours now," I'm like, she's not really property, guys. She can be with whoever she wants to be with.
And
well,
again,
I didn't get her, so obviously she's yours now. You can take it.
This business of she doesn't like Clark, but she likes Superman. It's like, that's fine in like the early episodes. We're into like the midway through season 2. There should be a bit more nuance in the relationship by now. You know,
but
look,
Clark
it's a
has
kid's
no
cartoon.
personality here, man. He has no personality in the show.
And that's not something you can level at the Batman show. Like he's such a layered, nuanced personality there. He was warm, he was funny, but he was also a bit of a hard ass. He was tortured, and they just took so many different avenues with it, and they really explored, and they played him off other characters really well, and he had the great kind of comic banter with Alfred. You just don't really get that in this Superman show. He's just kind of fighting guys the whole time, and it's just not as charming, I don't think.
What do you think about that, Lance? What do you think about the depiction of Clark and Superman in the Superman the Animated Series?
I thought it was so. A lot of the times, it seems like he's just kind of holding back, and he's trying too hard to be, not what people think he should be. In a lot of cases, he doesn't kind of open up. I think I like what's done in Justice League when we see him more. But granted, he's not Clark as much in that. But I think the Superman personality has more personality in Justice League than it does in Superman. I think in Superman, they think they just definitely wanted to make sure that, that Clark was as close to being like unassuming as possible, and then Superman just was like, "I am here to do good, man," all the time. And then, unfortunately, the longer it went on, it just kind of blended and just merged, and it was just like that all the time. But again, it's very much a holding back type of thing, which kind of harkens to Superman's monologue at the end of Justice League, where he talks about that very thing. Yeah, he seems to be much more of a free and comfortable with his own skin by that point, but I think it's just like an age thing at that point. He's a little bit older, the character is in this universe, and so I think he has a better grasp on things. Because you have to remember, the Superman the Animated Series is like this first 3 years of him doing this. So gotta take that into account as well.
Well, the Superman itself, I don't really have the issue with, and I don't think, I was thinking there earlier, would it have been better if they'd done kind of the Chris Reeve bumbling Clark Kent? I don't think that would have really worked either. But I think this version of Clark lacks a certain humanity, a certain realness to him. I think that's the issue. He's basically just a cardboard cutout person to be when he's not Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't
I think that's
really
a problem
have his
with.
own.
I think that's a problem with Bruce in this crop of Batman episodes as well, though. And I think it just stems back to, like, at this point of the exercise, they were trying to make more action-packed cartoons for kids, whereas Batman the Animated Series was an animated series. It was this lavish, thing that had never really been done before. I think they were sort of leaning away from that a bit more, and they were kind of like, this needs to play on Saturday morning. There needs to be an action beat in the first 5 minutes, and it needs to sell a hell of a lot of toys. And I think, for that, these shows are very, very good. But we'll always wonder, I wonder what the Superman show would have been had it been more like the original animated series. Just on that note, actually, what do you guys think about Nighttime? Two episodes, Nighttime and then the Demons. Lance, help me out here. What's the other episode called where Ra's al Ghul or Ra's al Ghul? Demon's Quest. The two kind of follow-up World's Finest episode. What do you guys think of those two episodes?
Nighttime is fun. It's really fun, because Superman plays Batman, and Robin kind of has to nudge him along and help him kind of, act more like Batman. And Superman's clearly uncomfortable with it. There's some fun bits where they're about to grapple off the roof, and Robin's like, left pocket, and he's like, oh, right. He does the voice.
Is this
Robin.
the one where Bane crushes him with the giant rock, and then he stands up, and it's badass as hell?
So cool.
I love that one, man. Love it.
That, and then also Brainiac. He's like Kryptonian. Like when he finds him out at the end, he's like, this is highly unlikely.
It's probably one of the best Tim Drake Robin episodes of the whole show. He's so competent, and he has to be the straight man for once. And
Yes.
yeah, it's a great episode. And to your point about the Riddler earlier on, I think it's the only time we actually see the Riddler in like a canon episode, because the only other time we see him in the redesign is in the Over the Edge, which is a dream sequence. You actually see him in this episode, and it's John Glover. Technically the first time John Glover was on a Superman show.
Yeah.
A bit of trivia there. No, I love that episode. Demon's Quest, I feel like I've only seen it once or twice. Maybe once on the DVDs and once when it actually came out. But I remember thinking, wow, this is so cool. They're back together again. Yeah. And it was great seeing... It's the only time you see Ra's al Ghul in this iteration as well. It was great to see him. So yeah, those are two... They don't get talked about as much, but those are two really strong episodes as well.
Yeah.
So, question for you guys, because I was just trying to think there. If you have, say, like the Batman the Animated Series box set, are the new Adventures of Batman included in that or not?
Yeah, I have the Blu-rays.
They are.
They're like season 4 of that. And
Okay.
On the Blu-ray set, you get all. It's not actually season 4 but they broke them up into volumes, and it's volume 4.
Yeah.
And then it also it comes with Mask of the Phantasm and Sub-Zero, by the way, which is a bunch of fun. It's nowhere near as good as Mask of the Phantasm or Return of the Joker, but it's a lot of fun.
It's still decent though, yeah.
It's worth a watch,
and it's a nice kind of a conclusion if you see it as that way to the Mr. Freeze story as well. Yeah.
Here's one for you, and I know because Anthony just did an episode on it. I still have never seen Superman Brainiac Attacks.
Oh my god, I have it right here under my desk. I never saw it until about 5 or 6 years ago when I realized I never saw it and bought it, and it is what it is. It's fine.
Is it that bad? Like, surely it can't be that bad.
It's not great. It's not the worst thing ever.
Yeah, I've heard people say it's worse than Superman 4, or it's the worst thing since Superman 4. Like, it couldn't be that bad, could it? And I love Superman 4.
Oh, the thing that really kind of sets it apart and what makes it like not as good to me is the voice acting. Like, so like the characters are just off. Brainiac's different, Lex is different, Mercy's different, and it's like this does not sound right. And I think that's what really kind of kept me out of it, is that.
Yeah. I would like to finally check that, especially we're gearing up for a Brainiac movie next year. Any other final thoughts, guys?
No, I just think, look, it's something that you could forget exists. Really, if you've never seen it, go back and check it out. It's part of you can check it out on the. I watched it on the Superman the Animated Series Blu-rays. It's disc 4. I had the old DVDs as well, but I watched it on the Blu-rays. Looks great, sounds great. And yeah, it's just a really, really solid hour of 90s animated TV. And like you said, Lance, they absolutely nail it. I think like 90% of it is pitch perfect. And I thoroughly enjoyed rewatching it. And it really left me with a taste, not so much for Superman the Animated Series, but to go back and watch Batman the Animated Series on New Batman Adventures, to be honest with you, because I just think they're such great shows. But 10 out of 10. Highly recommend it.
What about you, Lance?
This is amazing stuff. I love it. I have such a good time with this every single time it comes on. I have fond memories of watching this way back in the day, whether it been the original run or when Cartoon Network had their Cartoon Network Theater on Fridays, and this would be in the rotation. Yeah. That was always a highlight. And so this is what they should have done in live action, but they didn't.
Just do it like this. I like all of that. I've such fond memories of just watching this back to back as a kid with my brother. I was so excited to get it on video, and then it lived up to those expectations. It was exactly what I wanted it to be. It was my two favorites meeting for the first time. I absolutely loved it. And as Alan said, like if you're looking to just give yourself a blast of those two cartoons, what better way? It's a perfect pace. 3 episodes. You watch them pretty quickly, but they're also spaced out well enough that you'll feel like you got something substantial. So and for God's sake, guys, if you're going to do this again, please do it like this.
Yes.
I'm midway through an Arkham Knight. I know you go back to it regularly, Rob. I'm midway through an Arkham Knight replay, and I was just at the scene where Batman goes back to Wayne Tower. And he plays you can play the phone message, and Lex Luthor's there. I thought it would have been so great if it had been.
Yep.
I just think it would have been so great if Rocksteady Studios had bloody made a Superman game. It's such a tragedy that they didn't, and it's too late now.
It is too late.
The gaming thing is just a mess now. It's like we'll never have games like that again. I don't know about you, Lance. I still maintain Arkham Knight with all of its bells and whistles on it, it's one of the greatest games ever made. And the
I agree.
PC version, I don't know if you have a good kind of computer these days, but the PC version is worth it because the mods the fans have made are just insane. They come out with these really elaborate, like downloadable Batmobiles you can add into the game, or costumes from the movies that they never released at the time for the game, and it's amazing. It's worth. I literally bought a gaming laptop just so I could add mods to Arkham Knight, and it's incredible. So good.
That's so cool.
What are your thoughts on those games?
I love those games. It was appointment, playing for me, and it was I remember because when we were getting Arkham Asylum, I was like, I have to get a PS3. Like this is not an option. I have to get one.
Yeah.
And then I got one, and of course I played that game. And then City came out. I was ready for that game. That was my entire personality for the duration of me like playing and completing that game. And then I remember when when Arkham Knight was coming out, it was like I have to get a PS4. Like this is not an option. And this was at a time where it was hard to get one and hard to find one. And so And so, it's like, so I was able to do that. Zach helped me out with that actually, because he bought my PS3 and like, well, and then he got one at Black Friday, and then I just gave him my PS3 and took that. It was a whole, our barter system is very weird, but like we figure it out. And so that was how I was able to do it. It was very much like those games. It's kind of like a spiritual successor of the animated series in a lot of ways.
Yeah, big time.
And it's a lot of what Batman should be like in live action. It's the perfect melding of fantastical with the seriousness and realism. And it's like, this is what this should be. And my only gripe that I have is I wish we could have done more playthroughs and more stuff with some of the other characters in addition to Batman. Like, it would have been cool to, instead of just like some of the DLCs, like to be able to traverse the main world with Dick Grayson, with Robin, with Batgirl. It would have been cool to do that on more than just those DLC type of things.
I always especially playing the recent Spider-Man 2, where Miles is just there and he's alongside you, and then routinely you will swap places with him. If they ever do a Batman game again, I would want that's what you have to do. With Robin, and
that's the only way that would be the only thing that they could do differently now, I think, and like you said, Rob, whether we'll ever get a game like that after like the Kill the Justice League game,
$5 on Steam right now, by the way, guys, 95% off.
I saw that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm keeping my side. But it's I've only gone back to it recently, and I started to play the Return to Arkham. Where they re-released it for the PS4, and I'm playing it backward compatibility on the PS5. It doesn't look great. It doesn't look as good, I think, as the original one. It's very waxy.
I know what you
stuff.
mean.
I don't know the tone of it. It's not great. But so after about an hour or 2 hours, I went straight back to Arkham Knight, and again, like 11 years later, just absolutely
it's awesome.
blown away.
And to be fair, like when Spider-Man 2 came out, I was like, I have to get a PS5. So
now
I'm not missing out on this. So
I love those Spider-Man games, especially
they're amazing.
The Spider-Man for the PS4 and the Miles Morales one. I love those two. I thought the Spider-Man 2 was the weakest of the three. As cool as it was, and there was cool stuff in it, it's definitely the weakest of the three. I still would put
it's still great.
All three of the Batman games above the Spider-Man games. I still think
better. For sure.
I am interested to see, just to kind of segue a little bit, I am interested to see what the new Wolverine game is going to be like. It looks good. Unbelievable. And Marvel 1943.
Yeah, that looks really good.
That looks really good as well. So I'm excited. I am excited for those two.
Damn, DC, fight back. Like, where's your stuff? And here's what I don't get about like DC and the gaming thing. People talk about, it's like, well, we might be thinking about doing a Flash game, but it's just so hard. I was like, why is it hard? Like, it's not like we have an entire franchise based on a character and speed to go off of to figure this out.
Yeah.
Like, it boggles my mind. It's so easy. There are two ways you could do this game. You can make it a Flash game just like Sonic. Right, it's like a Sonic adventure, or you could have a DC racing game, and it's like all the speedsters are in there, and you have unlockable characters like Superman, like the other Kryptonians, and like stuff like that. Like, it's so easy. Like, how has this not been a thing? I just don't get it. And then the Wonder Woman game being scrapped, it's like,
oh, that was so sad.
You're losing people with this stuff. And then with Superman, it's easy. It's like there are two situations that you could have. Like, there are two games you could do where, like, he wouldn't be super overpowered. You can kind of depower him, and it would make sense story wise and game
Bottle
wise.
City of Kandor.
Bottle City of Kandor and the Phantom Zone. It's so easy. But again, like, well, number one, they're not asking me. But number two, I don't know what it is that they're thinking, but they're not thinking.
Do you know what it is? The problem is it takes years of time and patience and creativity, and accountants don't understand those things. They want money now. They want money next year to justify their end of quarter, whatever it is. And movies allow that because you can make them really quickly now. And that's fine. And you just fart out the CGI really quickly and get loads of people to work too hard for no money. And we can do those really quickly. Games, unfortunately, good games, take years to make still, and they can't get their heads around that. And then if the game underperforms, like, games need to make, like, you know, they could. Spider-Man made like something like $700 or $800 million, and it barely made its money back. It's like, you know,
well,
they cost so much money.
But these ideas that I've had these ideas for years. Yeah. They could have done those years ago.
Years ago. I completely agree.
Is the thing. No.
Yeah.
On that cheery note.
On that note.
Lads, it's been an absolute delight having you here. We will absolutely have you back. There's plenty more where that came from.
Yeah, there is. Superman Brainiac.
We should definitely cover that.
No, this has been...
Before we throw the socials, Lance, do you want to tell people where they can find you and what you have going on right now?
They can find me at Sir Lance Laster on all of my social medias. And you can find me talking about all the things that make Arrow on Always Hold On to Arrow. And you can find myself and my part Fail, our pod.
Very nice. Alan, do you want to give us the socials?
Okay, we're no longer on at All Star Superpod on X. We're there, but we're not there. We are at All Star Superfan on Facebook and Instagram. We are at All Star. We're not on All Star Superpod on X. I just said that. We're at allstarsuperpod@gmail.com. If you want to send us an email or a voice note, we're on SpeakPipe. We're on Patreon. Rob does his 90s Rewatch podcast there, so get in touch with us there. We're on the Inside All Star Superfan Facebook group, which is a great little community there where we discuss all sorts of topics related to Superman and connected characters and connected movies and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun. Am I forgetting anything, Big Rob?
We are on Blue Sky and Threads, but we probably don't put quite as much work into those, but I don't think anybody does. But you can find us there as well.
Oh, and I want to push again. We dropped our Star Trek. We ranked all of the Star Trek movies on the Patreon before Christmas. It is one of my absolute favorite episodes that we've done in the last 5 years. Reminds me we're pushing on our 5-year anniversary in a couple of months, Rob. But we ranked every Star Trek movie. I highly recommend you check that out. It was an absolute blast. Lance's best friend Zach was on that episode. We had a great time, and check that one out.
We should do a Rocky ranking episode sometime, Lance.
Hell yeah.
I would absolutely do a Rocky ranking
episode. Maybe do that next year. That'd be cool.
Excellent. I'm in.
Excellent.
Do you want to take us out, Alan?
Yeah, perfect. So you'll see Lance back here for the Superman Brainiac Attacks and Sub-Zero crossover double feature event. So look forward to that, everybody. Until then, stay safe, stay super, and take care out there. Bye-bye.